Rachanadi, will you read? In sum, it may be safely affirmed. I must.
Rangada, we have read it, we have to go through it.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, we'll do sentence by sentence. Right, okay. So I start. In sum, it may be affirmed, safely affirmed, that no solution offered can be anything but provisional until a supramental close consciousness is reached, by which the appearance of things are put in their right place and their essence revealed, and that in them which derives straight from the spiritual essence. So, the subject, if you remember, is that the uh, the the integral yoga does not reject the physical world. But if you don't reject the physical world, how are you going to change it? It's not easy. So there are many solutions, and he has discussed those solutions earlier. There is the solution of the Mayavadins and the Buddhists. Give up physical life altogether. You can't give it up altogether because you have to eat and sleep. So that is what the Sharira Yatra, what they call in Sanskrit. So Sharira Yatra, you have to do that. So do the minimum. The rest of it, you can have no interest in it. You can just ignore. The second solution, Srila says, is do those things which are necessary for your, related to your aim of life. So if you are a bhakta, then you can go to the temple, you can do puja, you can do all these things which are permitted, which are necessary for a puja. You can go to the market, purchase dhoop and flowers and whatnot. All this you can do, but nothing more than that. Okay? So that's the second solution. Then the other solution is moral solution. Try to be as clean as you can on the outside. Okay, that's one thing. And Srimata said that all these solutions are not enough. It does not change the lower being of the body, the vital and the mind. It does not. It is very difficult to do that. So the Gita solution is don't give up the physical world. Remain in the physical world and do all the actions but in a detached manner. Don't identify yourself with the body, mind, life, but be in the self and let your body, mind, life go on acting. And you can also, your consciousness can also come down to the body, mind, life, but not be subject to the three modes of nature, sattva, rajas, tamas. Let not universal nature move you about like a puppet, but you let the spirit move you. But even after that, transformation may not be possible. Okay? The divine will be moving you according to your limitations. But Srinda wants to go even beyond that. So you see all the gradations. First, give up the physical world. Second, don't give up the physical, not possible fully, but do the minimum possible. Then the second, third is morality. And then the next is the Gita solution. Here other solutions also are there, but not important enough. Gita, don't give up the physical world. Be stationed in the self, and you can also, your consciousness can be there, but without giving up the physical world, continue to do the actions in the physical world, because that is the Loka Sangrahanartham. This is for the good of the universe. The work in the universe must continue because God is continuing His work. The universe does not end. You may have liberation, but the universe does not end. So you have to be in tune with the God's work in the physical world. So come down into your body, mind, life, but don't be subject to the impacts of nature. Rather, let the divine work through you. But even now, even when the divine is working through, in fact, the divine is working through all of us even now. Okay? But there is one small difference. And what is that? That it is working through our imperfections. We are not perfect at all, but it is working through our imperfections. But Srimda wants the divine to work through us with perfection in mind, life and body. So you can see the whole gradation. Na? So this is what he has said in the previous para. Now we'll start reading the para that we have to read today and see what he has to say. In sum, it may be safely affirmed that no solution offered can be anything but provisional until a supermental transformation, supermental truth consciousness is reached, by which the appearance of things are put in their place. Now, what is the appearance of things and what is their essence? The appearance of things is the transient forms in the physical world. That's the appearance. Stones, trees, human bodies, insects, plants, events, everything is appearance only because they come and disappear. They're all transient. So, but behind these transient things, there is a divine presence, and that's the essence. Okay? That's the essence. It is somewhat like just an idea came into my head just now. You go into an exhibition hall and see the paintings. Okay? The paintings are the activity of the painter, but you don't see the painter. So the painter is the essence, and the paintings are the appearances, if you want. Okay? They are not appearances, they are the work of the painter. But exactly in the same way, the forms in the physical world are created by the painter who is God. Okay? So that is the essence, and these are the appearances. So Srimati is saying now that the change cannot be fully achieved unless you go to the supramental level. And when you go to the supramental level, the view of things changes entirely, and you are not a Mayavadan anymore. The Mayavadan is insisting that the forms in the physical world are unreal. But you don't say that anymore. You say they are not unreal, but they are only appearances. They are real appearances, but in time and space. They appear and disappear. But behind that, the universe is constant. The universe is not transient. The universe is there. And why is that there? Because there is the essence. God's presence is there behind, and God's presence is permanent. So only the forms in the in the universe are transient, but they are not unreal. So this is what Srimati is saying. Okay, he is saying you have to reach a truth consciousness by which appearances of things, all the forms, are put in their place. That means understood, and their essence revealed. The essence is the divine presence behind the form. In the meanwhile, and that in them which derives straight from the spiritual essence. So there are three levels. First of all, there are the forms. Then behind the form is the divine presence. But where is the divine presence coming from? Now he is saying spiritual essence. That's again the highest level. That's the supra-conscient or transcendental divine. That's the spiritual essence. And the essence in the universe is the divine presence in the universe. And the divine presence behind all forms. Okay? So this is what he is saying. And when you go to the supramental level, you understand all the three. You understand the origin, which is the spiritual essence. Then there is the universal essence of things behind, and there is also an individual essence of things behind all the forms. In the meanwhile, In the meanwhile, our only safety is to find a guiding law of spiritual experience, or else to liberate a light within that can lead us on the way until greater direct truth consciousness is reached above us and born within us. So, even the Gita solution is not enough for the integral yoga, because you are liberated and you are acting in the world, but your instruments are still defective, and the divine is working through you, but in a limited manner. If you have got a defective instrument, you can't do the work perfectly. So the divine is doing that, but now Srimati wants to be in the physical world, but also make the mind, life and body perfect instruments. So he is giving you the solution. How to do that? Find a guiding law of spiritual experience, or else to liberate a light within. What is the light within? Very clearly, your psychic being. So get the psychic being to come forward. That can lead us on the way until that greater direct truth consciousness is reached above us or born within us. So it can be you can realize the transcendent, and you can realize the the divine presence within you. Above us is the transcendent, and within you is the intraconscient, the one that is your psychic being and the divine presence. If you remember the Gita's famous Tarika will know, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hriddeshe Tishtati Ramayan Sarva Bhutani Yantra Rudhani. Okay, so that is the divine presence. I am not sure whether the Ishvara in the human being is the same as the psychic being. I am not sure, because some places there seems to be a difference between the two. The supreme divine presence is there in everybody, but whether that is the psychic being, I am not 100% sure, because the psychic being is in essence divine. But in the lower creatures, in the lower hemisphere of body mind life, the psychic is not perfect yet. It's a seed, potential seed of divinity, but it has to slowly evolve. And when it evolves, it's a huge moment in one's life, and you turn towards the spiritual life. But before that, you don't. But the divine presence is there everywhere. Okay? So that's what he's saying. You have to temporarily guide yourself with a spiritual light or the psychic being until the greater direct truth consciousness. 4 words or 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 words. Greater direct truth consciousness. Now he's using the word direct, which is very interesting, because direct means there is a direct knowledge and an indirect knowledge. In the physical world, our knowledge of the physical world is not direct, it is indirect. Why? Because between us and the world, there are the senses. The senses are telling us what is indirect. Okay? But when you go to the spiritual level of consciousness, you don't need to use the senses. Your consciousness will identify itself with the one that is there, the consciousness in the universe, and you will have direct knowledge. Okay? In fact, there are 4 types of knowledge which he discusses in the Life Divine. So when he's using a direct, it has got a great implication. It's just not a word. You don't use your senses. You are directly in touch with the consciousness. Then the last one, there are 4 methods of knowledge. The last one is identification. You completely identify yourself with it. Okay? And the third one in the scale is the reduced manner of the 4th one. So in other words, in the physical world, our knowledge of the world is indirect through the senses. Then in the spiritual planes of consciousness, we don't use senses. Our consciousness comes in contact with everything else to be known, and that is the direct knowledge. You don't need senses. Your consciousness is merging with the consciousness of the object to be known or the person to be known. Then it gets revealed. Then at the higher level, identification becomes almost the only instrument of knowledge. That's the third one. And at the highest level, total identification. So that's the most direct of all. So when he uses the word direct, it makes exactly, see, here he's only using one word. But in the Life Divine, there are one full chapter on the ways of knowledge. Indirect knowledge, direct knowledge, and identification knowledge. So, okay, so you have to give full value to the word direct. And he's saying, so until then, what do? You try your best and you get a guiding law, and that guiding law can be spiritual experience which will help you, or it can also be the psychic being coming forward. Okay? You are very far from perfect, but it can be a great guidance. Any spiritual experience naturally guides you. And this awakening of the psychic, the wrong thoughts and wrong movements and twisted things all disappear. Okay? I go to the next sentence. For all else in us, that is only outward One second. My page is jumping, so I have to see. For all else in us, that is only outward. All that is not spiritual sense or seeing, the constructions, representations, or conclusions of the intellect, the suggestions or instigations of the life force. Note the word instigation. All this is not spiritual. Your ideas are all coming from the mind, and they can be partly right and they can be partly wrong. They can also be absolutely wrong. That also is possible. But there is also the instigations of the life force. Your vital is also going on, instigating you. It's not sensations. It is not desires only. It is instigation. Instigation, usually there is a negative meaning. You instigate someone to do something wrong. Okay? So the vital is constantly pushing you to do things which are not in your favor, not at all beneficial to you. Okay? Either you tell a lie to protect yourself or you eat too much out of greed, and both are harmful to you. Instigations of the life force. Then the positive necessities of physical things are sometimes half lives, sometimes false lives that can at best only serve for a while or serve a little, and for the rest either detain or confuse us. In other words, the thoughts in the mind, the feelings and instigations of the vital, and he's using a very interesting word. He's saying positive necessities of physical things. Okay? Even the positive necessities of physical things are sometimes half lights, sometimes false lights. So what you feel is absolutely necessary for you, okay, may not be really so. It depends on your culture, your background, and your own ideas. Okay, you may feel. I'll give you a very very simple and very almost a vulgar example. Okay, you may feel that you absolutely need a soap for having a bath. Okay, but there are so many people who are having a bath only in the water without soap. Okay, so they are only half. But that's why I said there is what positive necessity. For instance, eating. Okay, eating is necessary. It's a positive necessity. But what do you eat? That's a good question. Do you eat something that is healthy or you eat something which is not healthy? So positive necessity is definitely eating and sleeping of the physical. But both the things can be misinterpreted and misused. So that's why they're saying all these things belonging to your outer nature of mind, life and body are only half lights, sometimes false lights, and that can at best only serve for a while or serve a little, and for the rest either detain or confuse us. So they may be useful for you for short action, or they may not be of great help, or they can definitely detain you. That means they can be harmful to you. So all these thoughts in the mind, sensations and desires in the vital, and your bodily needs. Okay, there are many people who feel absolutely that they need perfume in their body. Okay, so that is not absolutely essential, but you may feel it to be essential. The positive necessities. Okay, so this is what he is saying. I go to the next sentence. The guiding law of spiritual experience can only come by an opening of human consciousness to the divine consciousness. He has told you have to find a guiding law, and now he is telling you how that divine guiding law can come. You remember in the previous 2-3 sentences, he says in the meanwhile you have to find a guiding law, either of spiritual experience or of the psychic. Now he is explaining how it can be done. The guiding law of spiritual experience can only come by an opening of the human consciousness to the divine consciousness. Unless you open the doors of your being, how will the divine come in? There can be no contact. So you have to open your doors. Receptivity is the word which you can use in this case. When you open your doors and your windows, the divine can come in very easily. So then you are receiving him happily. There must be the power to receive in us. There you are. Okay? The power to receive. receive in us the working and command and dynamic presence of the divine Shakti and surrender ourselves to her control. So that's what you have to do. You invite her to come and completely control you. You don't interfere with your own will, which is limited and foolish. Even in fact, she has said that your will is a weakness, and your sense of virtue is a foolishness. She has told you earlier, if you remember. Like a complete, your idea of virtue also is self-deceit. Okay? So, divine, dynamic presence of the divine Shakti, and you surrender yourself to it. Not easy, but it can be done little by little. Very few can open their doors completely. You normally open it a little because you are afraid. When something is not known, fear always comes because something you are afraid of something. What will happen, we don't know. But the surrender is not sure. There you are. There is absolute no certitude of the guidance so long as we are besieged by mind formations and life impulses and instigations of ego. He is using the word instigation again. Okay? Instigation is something usually negative, pushing you to do something negative. Instigations of ego, which may easily betray us into the hands of a false experience. Now, this is very interesting. I told you that there is fear, even when there is an experience, there is fear that comes in the beginning. I'll give you two examples. Okay? This was an Italian lady who came and told me after one of the sessions in Narad's YouTube session. She told me, I want to come and speak to you. So she came and she told me that I had the experience of golden light coming into my mind. But I was afraid. I didn't want it. There was something in me, okay, the psychic being wants it. But the body is afraid, definitely. And the vital also does not want it because it's going to make all its desires and all its general ideas all disappear. And the mind also is limited. So it's told me very clearly, I was afraid and I was rejecting it. Okay. So that's what Sridhar is saying. The surrender is not sure. There is absolute no certitude of the guidance. There is another case also where there was a descent. Okay? You could call it power or you could call it, it's not very clear in the beginning what it is, but when the descent is there into your body, mind, life, even your hair may stand up, okay? Share the pool, what you call in English horripilation. But there is also fear. Okay? So it's not easy to surrender all at once to the divine. Okay? So that's what Sridhar is saying. But the surrender is not sure. There is no absolute certitude of the guidance so long as we are besieged by mind formations and life impulses and instigations of ego. Note the word besieged. Sridhar is very fond of using images. Now, what does the word besiege imply? Besiege means when an army surrounds the enemy and does not allow it free movement. That is besieging. Okay? The Greeks, was it the Greeks or what? Yeah, when they surrounded Troy, okay, they besieged Troy. So exactly in the same way now, we also know very interesting, there was an incident in the World War II. The Germans came and besieged Stalingrad. Okay? They, for 2 years, nothing could come out or nothing could go into Stalingrad for 2 years. But they could not conquer Stalingrad. The Germans could not conquer because there was a lot of resistance, and whenever they tried to enter, there was a lot of guerrilla warfare and they could not do it. But there was no food, nothing going in. So that's the besieging. Okay? So I won't go into more details. There are very interesting details about this besieging of Stalingrad, but we won't go into that. So when you are besieged by your own mind formations and life formations and instigations of ego, these are your own enemies, not allowing you to go out or come in, nothing coming. So you are completely falsely betrayed into the hands of a false experience. So the word besiege and betray tell you what the image is. No? You are betrayed into the enemy's hands. So it's a war that goes on, besieging and betraying into the hands of a false experience. Now, the danger can only be countered. Just one second. My storing should come. So, yeah. So, this danger can only be countered by the opening of a now 9 tenths concealed inmost soul or psychic being that is already there but not commonly active within us. The psychic being is there in everybody, okay, but it is not commonly active. And when it is not active, you don't call it the psychic being, you call it the soul. Okay? The divine presence, but only in essence, in seed form. It is not active. Okay? It is not yet germinated. It's in seed form. When it starts germinating and becomes absolutely well developed, it becomes a psychic being. Okay? So, this danger can be avoided, Srinath is saying, by opening of the now 9 tenths. Imagine, 90% it is not experienced by anybody. Of the now 9 tenths concealed inmost soul or psyche. He is using the word inmost because very often people mistake the higher vital, because there are very noble sentiments in the higher vital. Now there is love, there is sympathy, there is goodwill for everybody, there is also the sense of helping others, there is a generosity. All these things are there in the higher vital. Okay, but that's not spiritual. Okay, it's the same thing. It's very good. All these things are very good, but that's not the psychic. That's what Shakespeare is saying. So he's using the word inmost soul. There's an inner soul, but not the inmost soul. Or the psychic being is already there, but not commonly active in us. That is the inner light we must liberate. Okay? So in Srinath Yoga, first bring out the psychic, then you are safe. Then you climb into the higher levels of consciousness, get the experience of the self. That's a spiritual transformation. First, the psychic transformation, second, the spiritual transformation, and lastly, the supramental transformation, which even changes the body fully. That's Srinath's interior yoga. Okay, so that is the inner light we must liberate. For the light of this inmost soul is our one sure illumination, so long as we walk still amidst the siege of the ignorance, and the truth consciousness has not taken up the entire control of our Godward endeavor. Now instead of saying besiege, he is using the word siege, which is the same thing. Okay? If you are surrounded by ignorance, the truth consciousness cannot come in and cannot take control of you. Your Godward endeavor. The working of the divine force in us under the conditions of the transition and the light of the psychic being, turning us always towards a conscious and seeing obedience. Seeing obedience is a very interesting word. In Sanskrit they use the word Pashyanti Buddhi. The Buddhi which sees the truth. Pashyanti Buddhi. Yeah. Seeing obedience. It's not only obedience. You see the reality and then you obey. There is a difference between seeing obedience and simply obedience. To the higher impulsion and always from the demands and instigations of the forces of the ignorance. These, between them, create an ever-progressive inner law of our action, which continues till the spiritual and supramental can be established in our nature. In the transition, there may well be a period in which we take up all life and action and offer them the divine for purification. See, when one is very sincere, you take up and view all life, not only something, but everything, including your activity, including your profession, whatever you are doing. Do all life, and certainly saying it is possible. There may well be a period, he is not saying it happens to everybody, but there could be a period when your sincerity is so strong that you offer everything to the divine. Transformation has not taken place yet. but you are offering everything to the divine. Okay? A period in which you take up all life and action and offer them to the divine for purification, change, and deliverance of the truth within them. Another period in which we draw back and build a spiritual wall around us, admitting through its gates only such activities as consent to undergo the law of the spiritual transformation. So there are two ways. One is to completely surrender to the divine. The other is some sort of moral control. Okay, you don't allow wrong thoughts to come into you. Another period in which we draw back and build a spiritual wall around us, admitting through its gates only such activities as consent to undergo the law of the spiritual transformation. There is a third method. The third in which a free and all-embracing action, but with new forms, fit for the utter truth of the Spirit, can again be made possible. So, you are offering all your life to the divine, number one, or you are trying to control the wrong things to keep them out. And the third is that everything that you are doing, okay, everything that you are doing, you are offering to the divine in an all-embracing action, but with new forms, fit for the utter truth of the Spirit, can again be made possible. The difference between the first and the third is that you are surrendering to the divine, whatever you are doing, but now even your actions, even if those actions are not the right ones, okay, you have to say to the divine, I know that what I am doing is wrong, but I have no power over it. You please do whatever you want. I am offering all this to you. I am offering to you my selfishness. I am offering to you my greed. Okay, so all these things. This sounds very funny, but I can tell you it is true. I'll tell you. Uh, Once somebody asked Mother, in the 1950s, Mother used to give blessings almost every day, in the morning she used to give, and special occasions also she used to give. Durga Puja, Lakshmi Puja, okay, all these things, Saraswati Puja. She used to come down into the meditation hall and give blessings. So someone asked in the Wednesday class, they asked Mother, when we come to you, there is so much of fear because we are impure. And when we come to you, all the wrong thoughts and all the things that I have done wrong, they come up in front when I come to you. So, how to do this? How to do it? How to control that? So, Mother says, why do you want to control? You give all those things to me, okay? Give all those things to me, I'll get rid of them for you. That's exactly what the third method is. The third in which a free and all-embracing action, even that which you don't want in yourself, catch hold of it and give it to the divine. That's the third one. Okay? See? In which a free and all-embracing action, but with new forms. Okay? With new forms, completely different, fit for the utter truth. Yeah.
uh, when we give to the divine, whatever we are doing, is it mentally only we are giving, or like you feel that yeah you are giving, but is it only mentally or really? How do you know whether you are just giving mentally or you are really?
Yeah, you don't know. That's the whole thing. It's a slow, gradual progress. If it is mental and not vital, there is holding back. It's only partial. If your whole being is giving it, that would be the best. Okay? With your vital also is saying, yes, I don't like this in me. It is there in me, but I don't like it. And if the psychic joins, then nothing better. Because the psychic is always sincere. The vital is not always sincere. Okay? Okay, I will give it to the divine, but. But often comes. So, this is the. So, what your Tarika's question is it the full being or is it only mental? If it is mental, it's not bad, but still it is only partial. Naturally, usually the vital resists. But if the vital also joins, then that's the best you can do. And if to that, even the psychic comes in, then your aspiration is sincere. And it will take effort. This is what you do. These things, however, will be decided by no mental rule. There you are. Okay? See?
Oh.
Your answer is there. Okay? No mental rule. Okay? But in the light of the soul within us and by the ordaining force. So, Sendra is not saying don't do it by the mind. If you do it by the mind, it is partial. But when you surrender yourself fully to the divine, he is going to decide what you have to do and what you don't have to do. Okay, it's a very interesting thing because some things are allowed, okay, in individuals because there is some truth in everything that we do. Okay, so it's a very interesting thing and it's a long discussion can take place on that. But suppose you have a defect sometimes, okay, but that defect is not immediately removed by the divine, even if you are fully surrendered to him. They will allow it to persist for some time because there is an element of truth in it. Okay, so it's very interesting. Okay, suppose I have,
Element of truth in the negative, or element of truth in the negative.
yes, even the negative. That's what I'm saying. Because all the dualities in the physical world, even the negatives, there is the truth in it. Okay. And that's why it is allowed to persist. Okay, I'll tell you a very interesting example. Okay, suppose let us say I've got greed of money. Okay, but in certain cases, the divine may allow that to continue for some time. The want of the money will be, it will continue, but your greed will be slowly dealt with because there is a necessity of money for you in a particular individual. I'm not saying for everybody. But it will be allowed to continue because it is useful for you. And you may be using that money for other people's help also. All sorts of things are possible. So sometimes negative things are allowed. Okay? So some things are not allowed, some things are allowed temporarily. So that is the interesting part. So that's why he's saying it is not decided by any mental rule, but the divine decides what has to be done and not done. Yes, you are saying something.
No, I lost it. It's okay. No, I was saying,
Yeah.
no, it'll come back.
Okay. So 8:31. So we'll finish the para. Okay. These things, however, will be decided by no mental rule, but in the light of the soul within us, and by the ordaining force and progressive guidance. Note the word progressive guidance. The guidance is not 100% immediately in the beginning. What is the easiest to get rid of, the divine will get rid of. What is more difficult, it will persist for some time, but with a slow pressure, that also will disappear ultimately. Okay? Progressive guidance of the divine power that secretly or overtly first impels, then begins clearly to control and order, and finally takes up the whole burden of the yoga. I'll give you another example without giving names. Okay? You may be aware, you may not be aware, but I won't give names. There was a person who was in charge of the department. Okay? And he was using the money coming from mother for very often for personal things. Okay? Which is not the right thing to do, obviously, no? But whenever he used to ask for money to mother, mother used to give him any money that was asked for. So she knows very well what's happening, but still she will give it. So this is an example of um,
Negative being allowed.
certain things to continue because there is a purpose to it. I'll give you another example, and I'll tell you name also this time. I'll take because it's a fact that happened. Okay. Madhav Pandit. I think all of you know Madhav Pandit, na?
Yeah.
And what he used to do, you remember in the ashram itself, he had an office, na? Opposite Puranaji's room. When you go into the meditation hall, okay, on the right side is Puranaji's room, and on the left side was Madhav Pandit's office. Place it, na? And he used to sell his own books there. Okay, so someone
That is opposite Bulada's room, no? Opposite Bulada's room.
No, Bulada's room, there is nothing opposite. It's an open space. Bulada's room is the open space. Bulada did not live there. First room was
Okay.
Bulada just by the side of the staircase going up.
Oh, okay.
And then the next one is it is to be a very narrow room but long. Okay. Now there is accounts going on there. Okay. So mother said that okay, I know what's happening, but a very important work is going on through him. Follow? So everything is of a mixed nature. So sometimes the divine allows certain things which seem to be not correct to continue because it will harm the work if it is not taken away. It isn't taken away. This is what you have to realize, that sometimes that which is part true, part false, if you try to remove the false part, the true part also suffers. So that's what I mean by sometimes these things are allowed to continue. In fact, if you want to have an image of that, and this truth also comes in the form of an image. Okay, I'll just finish that and tell you. It's a very interesting image. You are doing yoga. Now you are walking on the road and you come to a crossing. Okay, and the crossing means there are 4 roads. Na? There is one road to the road on which you have come, and there is one road to the left, one road to the right, one road in front. There are 3 roads. The image given to express this truth is one road is completely barred. Absolutely. The police have put up barriers and you can't go there. The other one is open to you. And the third one is part open. Okay? So, the one that is barred, obviously, you can't do. In ashram we have no politics and no sex. Okay? And no smoking and drinking. But mother allowed smoking and drinking to some people. Okay? She knew it, but she did not interfere. That's the road which is partly barred and partly allowed. And the one that is absolutely open, do your work properly, that's the one that you do. So this is the image. So the divine is working and he knows much better than us what to allow, what not to allow. Okay? So that's what he's saying here. It's the divine that decides to you, provided you are surrendering fully to him. He decides what to continue and what not to continue. So the power that secretly or overtly first impels, then begins clearly to control and order, and finally takes up the whole burden of the yoga. 8:36. We have gone 1 minute past the time, but it is a very interesting para. How when you are in the ignorance, what is the way? There is, first of all, try and bring your psychic forward. Okay? And the psychic forward, when you can give all your activities, not only your soul, but everything that you are doing, you offer to the divine in a surrender. Or the other one is, the second one is that you, the last one is you completely let the divine take over, even those things which are negative and you are afraid to give to the divine, that also you give it to him. Okay. So these are the methods that he's talking about. And all this finally will be decided by the divine, not by your mind. You can't say to your mind, I will continue with my desire for some time. You can't say that. It's the divine that decides what to do and what not to do. Okay? I'll give you an interesting example. Okay? Shanadi is writing to Swayambhu. Suddenly I felt like eating chicken and fish, she writes. Okay? So, will you allow me? So Swayambhu says, certainly not. Okay, completely forbidden. You can eat your desire, he says. You can eat your desire and not your chicken and fish. So that's for her. Okay, but for others he may have allowed. Okay, because the attachment may not be so strong. So it depends on the individual. So this is what I meant by some things are allowed and some things are not allowed and some things are partially allowed. That image which I gave you of the crossroads is an image which is seen and expresses this truth. Okay? So, next time, Sunki, make a note, 139, in accordance with the triple characters. So,
Yes.
Thank you, Ranganath.
don't go into the market today because most of it will be closed.
Yes.
Okay. Au revoir.
Au
Have a
revoir.
nice
Au revoir.